What's going on, guys? My name is Kyle, and today I'm doing the visual effects breakdown for Minecraft Lone Survivor. And I know it's a long time overdue. As of recording this, we uploaded the video about 2.5 months ago, so quite a while now, but I'm finally doing it. The video blew up. It's not exactly a viral video, but it's our most successful video so far in terms of daily views. It's got 7.1 million views in 2.5 months, which is insane. I'm really happy with how the video is doing. So thank you to everyone who's watched it. It means a lot, all the support we've got. Our channel's grown huge since then, so that's really awesome. But let's get to the visual effects breakdown. Okay, so I'm not going to be talking too much about the actual sort of obvious 3D animation, because we've already done a visual effects breakdown and a behind the scenes for Minecraft in Real Life first person, and this basically uses the same techniques as that. I won't go too in depth with it because it's all pretty similar, but I'm going to go over it briefly anyway, just to sort of show you a little bit, because I know there's going to be people who are wondering how we sort of did the 3D animation stuff. But later on in the video, I'm also going to be showing you how we did some of the sort of hidden effects, the ones that you probably, well, you won't have known that they were actually effects, but they were kind of necessary, and I'll get into that later. But right now, let's just have a quick look at this. So, the zombie, I'll just bring it back here so we can see the shadow a bit better. So we've got the zombie here, and then the shadows on the ground. So the zombie is actually rendered separately to the shadows. And if I come down, these are the shadows here. So the reason we do that is because when you render something from Cinema 4D, no matter how sort of you match the lighting and stuff, it's never going to look right when you just straight on bring it into After Effects. You just drop it in, it won't look right. Case in point, if I turn off all the effects here, you can see that it's just too saturated, it's sharp, it looks weird, it just doesn't match the footage. And it also has this kind of dark outline around the edge here. So basically, we want to be able to adjust this to match the shot. But if we take these and we drop it on the shadow, it's not going to look right. So this is what it does to the shadow. So the shadow's way too bright compared to the actual shadows in the scene. So if we were to, darken it, then the zombie is going to be too dark. So we can't just do it all sort of together. Cinema 4D still doesn't have a matte shadow material, which basically means it renders just the shadow with an alpha channel. So I'll go over the effects we put on the zombie first to match the scene, and then we'll focus on the shadows. So to get started, first of all, curves. Actually, the first thing we do is put a simple choker on it to get rid of the dark edge. These are kind of out of order to how I usually do it, but that doesn't matter. And then I'll apply a tint to bring down the saturation because it's a little oversaturated. Brightness and contrast to reduce the contrast. Fast blur just because, it's a little sharp. So add a bit of a fast blur. That's probably not completely necessary. It'd probably look better if it was a bit sharper, even if it doesn't exactly match the footage, but it doesn't make a huge difference. Motion tile, I'll show you that in a second, and then a curves just to make it a bit darker. The motion tile is actually for when it's out of the screen. So as you can see here, using the simple choker and fast blur, you get this problem at the bottom of the screen. In the fast blur you can solve it just by ticking repeat edge pixels, but the simple choker has this problem where it'll get rid of the black outline, but it also cuts off the bottom of the frame here, so you get this kind of, so you can kind of see what it's doing. It's cutting off the bottom of the frame, and then we can see the footage underneath. So I add a motion tile and just change it to 102 or 101, and then mirror the edges, so that way it just fills in that little gap there. Alright, so let's have a look at the shadows now. And to start off, the shadows come in looking like this. We render all the shadows out together on a white floor, so this is just a solid white color, and then we can add a multiply to remove the white, and then I add a motion tile for the same reason as on the zombie, a simple choker, because it still renders with that sort of dark edge around it. A levels, so that's to match the brightness of the shadows in the scene. A tint to get the colors right, and then a fast blur just to soften it up a bit, because it's once again a bit too sharp, as you can see there. So we can just add that. And that's basically all that goes into it. So we just render all the different 3D objects out separately, color correct those, the shadows, add the color correction and stuff for those. It's usually a little different depending on what the scene is. So I just copy and paste the settings, adjust them so it's all right, and then yeah, that's basically all it is. That's why I didn't want to go too in depth. It's just copying and pasting it, and it's just a tedious process really. So anyway, let's move on to something a little different. So I'll show you one of these hidden effects that I was talking about earlier. So there is a pretty obvious hidden effect, as in it actually takes up quite a bit of the frame. And if you still don't know what it is, which I'm assuming you don't, because I'd like to think that I did a pretty good job of it, I'll turn it off here, and it is the road down here. So obviously there's this big filthy shadow down here, and that wasn't going to work, so I 3D tracked the scene, and then I would take screenshots of the road from places like here, and I would freeze frame them, mask them out, and then turn them into a 3D object. I did 3D tracking inside of After Effects, and then I would just position it right here, and I'll open this up and you can see a bit better of what's going on. So I just positioned them like that, and Ren the Reaper, if you don't know Ren the Reaper, you should check him out because he does some really good tutorials, but he did a tutorial on camera mapping in After Effects, and I wish I had have seen that when I made this, because it would have made things a lot easier and probably looked quite a bit better. But, you know, this still turned out pretty well, and it does a good job of covering up the shadows. So although it took a little longer, you know, I'm pretty happy with the way this turned out. There's an example of one of the hidden effects. We do this a lot in some of our videos, just painting stuff out, removing things from the scene, and just making small adjustments. I'll show you another example. Right here is the effect. When we shot this, for some reason, this happened a few times, but there was this weird problem we were having with the camera where it was making these awful green lines. I don't know why this was. It was always like just below the sun, so it was kind of like a flare, but it's like this weird dark green. I don't know what was happening. It's the first time we've ever had the problem, but obviously it looks awful, so we couldn't use it. So what I did was I just went into Mocha, I tracked the scene. So as you can see, here's our track marker here, and it's just a nodal pen. It's not in 3D space or anything, which makes it real easy. And then I just take a still shot, so something like this, and I just track that into the scene, feather the edges a bit, and then track it in there, and it looks like this. I really, I don't know what to show you guys. I mean, it's all, you know, it's all very similar, just that shot one that I showed you at the start. It's pretty much all the same as that. Like this zoom shot here, this is actually a 2D track, I think. So I just animated it in Cinema 4D and then tracked it in, but it's pretty much the same premise as I, you know, add the zombies in and add these effects with the tint, reduce contrast, blur it a bit. I also added some noise on this because there is a bit of noise in the scene. Really, the only reason this video took so long is because of the 3D tracking. We ran into a lot of problems with that because the scenes are sort of moving around so much. So, you know, because we start here facing this way, and then we turn around, and then we walk over here, and then we look down, and then we turn back over here. Stuff like that really confuses 3D tracking software, and we had tons of trouble trying to track this. Colin, with the channel CC Mega Productions, if you haven't seen that, you should definitely check it out. He even had a go at trying to track it, and he told me that it was impossible to track. So what I ended up doing was splitting it into a whole bunch of different sections myself, and then I tracked those separately. So I had like 4 different projects for Cinema 4D, and it ended up taking probably about 9 months to edit the whole thing. Not full on, but I just run into these roadblocks and get annoyed, so I'd stop working on it for a while. But yeah, sorry to the people who expected more than this. I don't really know what to say, because there's honestly not that much to say. The sword stuff is pretty basic for those of you who don't know how we do it, because we still get a lot of comments that say, imagine what their neighbors thought when he was walking through the street with a camera swinging a sword around. But that's not actually how we do it at all. We actually record it just like this, and then we edit the sword in later, so it's all just green screened. So for those of you who thought that's how we did it, it's not. But that's pretty much all I have to say. So let me know in the comments what you guys want to see in these behind the scenes and visual effects breakdowns, because I want to start doing them more often. If you want me to do maybe some tutorials or something, let me know in the comments, because it's hard for me to know what you guys want to see. That's basically what I'm trying to say. So leave a comment, tell me what you want to see on this second channel, because I definitely want to start it back up again. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later.